we won't be talking about Liam, okay? Like, we won't be diving in. We won't be diving into Liam.
I'm like spotting the nearest exit, hey.
We are all emotionally invested and devastated. So with Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, you know, it took off, you know, it got massive. And you just finished like a nationwide tour, going around and talking to everyone during the launch of Iron Flame. What has it been like traveling, seeing your book all over the place, meeting the fans?
You guys are awesome, the readers are awesome. But let's be clear, when my publisher said, how do you want to launch Iron Flame? I said the same way we did Fourth Wing, in my jimmies. So if you weren't out in the hallway to see my social anxiety freak out that went from 0 to 1,000 in about 20 seconds flat. Seeing this is awesome, and like all your cosplays is crazy. And I love hearing everyone, especially everyone that has Ehlers-Danlos or, you know, kind of coming up and saying like, hey, thanks for the rep and things like that. It's awesome. The rest of it is super overwhelming. It has happened in the span of 9 months. Like, it takes 9 months to make a baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are no words for it. Let's put it that way. So it's very overwhelming, and I am adjusting as best I can while still just being like my kid's mom.
And yeah, you mentioned that the books came very fast because fans were spoiled with 2 books being released last year with both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Can you maybe talk about the timeline for those 2 books?
Yeah. So I was writing. I'd written. I also write contemporary romance. I know everyone kind of that gets kind of under the radar there. I was writing in the Likely Event. And it just got picked up for a contract, and my publisher said, hey, they're gonna do a romantasy line. I said, yeah. And so I pitched 5 books, or 5 stories, they picked number 3, and like, off we went, right? So I came home from the hospital with one of my kids. He just had a titanium bar put in his chest, which anyone with EDS understands, it's a pactus excavated surgery. So we just got out of the hospital, and they said, you're gonna launch the line, you've gotta write this book. I had another book coming out in October. So I wrote the first 50 of Fourth Wing, then I wrote A Little Too Close, went into edits, and then wrote Fourth Wing from June through August 2nd. The deadline was August 1st, I turned it in at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. on August 2nd. And then I immediately started back on the Likely Event. Then they wanted to do sprayed edges. And so it was like, you gotta edit now. So I went into massive edits, came home, wrote in the Likely Event in 4 weeks, slept for a month. And my publisher said, what do you think about moving up Iron Flame? And I was like, And I said, okay, I think we can do it. And I started Iron Flame. I wrote Iron Flame in 7 months. So for everyone's like, it's rushed. I'm like, it took 7 months to write Iron Flame. It's so much bigger, and there's so much more world building, and so much more happens in it. So by the time Fourth Wing came out, I was already in edits on Iron Flame. I was finishing editing Iron Flame, and I was in edits for it. And then all of this happened. And I'm still writing number 3. Put it that way. That one's a shock. Book 3, yes, that's what it's known, number 3.
Many characters were able to develop between books 1 and 2. One of my personal favorites was Antarna. Going from like this cute little dragon to like angsty teen to basically the world, kind of, basically. Yeah, what was it like developing your character throughout Iron Flame?
Dude, I'm mom of 6, right? So my kids range from 10 to 26. My 16-year-old is sitting in the back of the room, and he's somehow survived this trip. So like anyone living with a teenager, you know, just she kind of bled in naturally. Lots of teenagers in my house.
Is there a character you think we should be on the lookout for in the future of the series? Like someone we should be paying attention to?
I will never tell you that. I mean, just for fun, I can throw out a random name, then you guys be like, I don't get it, she said that one. And I'd be like, I never know until I get there.
And now I did say we were going to talk about Liam. Now is the time. I know, so it was, who else in this room was heartbroken? Yes, that's what let's You knew that was going to be the case. You knew that was the fate of that character, and it was heartbreaking to get through, but it also kind of made sense for the world. It is a high-stakes world, but we were treated to a very tender, special moment in Iron Flame in part 1, where during the interrogation scene, Violet sees Liam as Yarros. Spoilers. I just want to know, like, did you always know he was going to come back, or was it slightly like, I love this character so much, I want to revisit him?
No, I always do. So I created Liam. Like I knew Liam was going to die, so then I put him on the page. And honestly, I'd gotten through the chapter right after Thrashing and just realized I needed a Liam and went back and put Liam in. Because I edit as I go, so I turn it a pretty clean, like, first draft when I go. And the entire time I was writing Fourth Wing, that was the one scene I knew was coming in Iron Flame. I knew what Dane was going to do, and don't start with me. I knew where Dane's character was headed, and where Violet's character was headed. I knew how she would get through that moment. So I always knew he was going to come back for that, and that was probably one of my favorite scenes to write in Iron Flame. That was one of those scenes that, like, I would not write on a board day, because I knew if I got there and I wrote it already, I would have no reason to just, even try to record it.
I was going to say, is that like the only scene you wrote and you're like, I need to break, is that so long? Is this official?
So when I slip into my character, I really big into visceral emotions. It's like, what happens to your body in that scene? So if you're flying, where's your weight shifting? How do you feel? What emotions are you feeling? What does the wind feel like? And so my body kind of goes through those things. And so after scenes like that, I'm like, I must go to bed now. Because I feel as though I have not been strapped to a chair and tortured the way I have in Nami, kind of. But not, you know what I mean, not in that same way.
And I know we were just talking about heartbreak with Liam, but there were also a lot of very emotional moments, you know, in part 2 of Iron Flame, you know, going from the, you know, like I said with Liam, going to the heartbreaking, like, how quickly can you fall out of love with Zayden? Read the next paragraph? Like, did you stop there? I mean, I took a moment, definitely. I mean, like, my stomach, my heart, like, in my stomach, I was just like, I need to take a moment. But something else that I found very heartbreaking was kind of the dynamic that would then become with him and Scale.
Yeah.
Now that he is, spoiler alert, you know what happens at the very end of the page. You know, now that everything's happening with Benin, like, knowing that the dynamic and the relationship and bond with this dragon, who, by the way, they are both very selective.
Yes.
Like, they were not going for any other writers. It was Violet and Zayden. So it's also very sad to kind of know that that bond is going to have a huge change in dynamic.
Like, she's pissed.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, like, how do you, I mean, I know you can't say anything.
No, she's pissed. Like, she's really pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not speaking to him.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously you can't say too much, but that will be explored.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not really in Zayden's POV until, like, he stops keeping secrets. Plus, I love the fact that you're in Violet's POV because you're getting the world just from her perspective. So I'm not over here opening up a section of the world over here that you guys know about that she doesn't. Otherwise, you'd be looking at her going, hello, do you not know what's happening over there? No, she doesn't. So it's going to be explored, but you see it from more of an external point of view.
Okay, makes sense. Zayden has way too many secrets, and well, that is also kind of part of the point. Like, we obviously know that he was keeping Violet's secrets from Violet, who also we found out is very bad at keeping secrets. So she's probably for the best.
Wait till this one.
Oh my god. But it's probably for the best, and like, we know that he has a lot of secrets when it comes to like Mauritia and everything.
Yeah.
So, but I'm assuming he has to have secrets beyond that.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Everything. You know.
Yes, secrets. Lots and lots.
But I will tell you, Violet's way better at keeping them in this book. She's like in her Reputation era.
I have heard in an interview that you named Violet because you love the nickname Violet.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And so, you know, I was just kind of wondering, like, you made that change, or you made that decision because you wanted that outcome.
Yes.
Is there any other moments like that you can reveal about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame where you're like, this is my outcome, this is my approach?
I knew that Darna would be a 7th breed. Sorry. Like, if you were in here, like, honestly. Too much effort. So I knew that she'd be a 7th breed, and then all babies start as gold, right? And they come into their scale color. So I knew going into there that she could only be gold because she would turn to something else. So that I kind of use as my motivation. There's tons of things that I lay into the first book that don't come to fruition in the second book, but are coming to pass in other books that I won't point out, because that would be cheating. But yes, there's tons of other things that I lay out. Just you and the rest of the world.
It all stays in the room.
I love the idea of manipulative violence, especially for someone with EDS, and for someone who's smaller and more fragile. And her name is Violet, which is like the absolute opposite, opposite of violence. So I loved having that juxtaposition there.
I love it. It's so good. It's fun. It's very fun. And then something else I want to ask you is, we have so many big moments from, Satan's love declaration, Liam's fate, all this big stuff coming together. And, I've spoken to you before, you mentioned, you know where the story is going, you have it all mapped out, you know where every book is going to be. And so I'm curious, are there any scenes you can reveal that maybe, whether it was like as you were writing it or during the writing process, you saw going one way, but then in taking a step back and looking at it, you were like, I think I'm going to approach it differently?
The Gauntlet in Fourth Wing. The Gauntlet was not in my original synopsis. I wrote an 8-page synopsis. And of course, when I plot, I am like the weirdest plotter. I'm like a conspiracy theorist. So I have like the plot line and the arc in each chapter, and then I have color-coded Post-its that tell me where the action is, where the romance is, where the secrets are revealed, where the Easter eggs are laid. So I can stand back on this 4x6 plot board and tell you we're devoid of a color, like in this area, right? But I hadn't done that quite with Fourth Wing, and as I was writing it really fast, I had the plot line up, I didn't realize I was missing action. So the Gauntlet wasn't going to be there. And then I was like, yes, they have to have some way to prove to the dragons that they can not just balance on their spine, but they can mount up those impossibly high legs, and they can do combat on their backs, and that they can handle these rolling, dipping maneuvers. So that was never going to be there, and got added as I was writing, which never happens. They go on tangents, like characters go on tangents all the time, and I have to tell Riddick to shut up. But constantly, I'm like, be quiet, sit down. But that's the only thing that's not like in the film.
What kind of research did you do to kind of come up with those types of obstacles for that part?
So I mostly thought about what you have to do to get on a dragon and what would be the obstacles once you're on that dragon. So, with the spinning lock, can you crawl on the tail while the tail is moving? And everything is spinning. Can you move on the back of this dragon? Can you be in combat? Can you climb the dragon after you've been dropped off to do combat? That kind of thing. So it was mostly those kinds of obstacles. And then I thought of the most perilous things I would never want to do. And then I kind of laid them along as switchbacks in the cliff. Because I'm from Colorado and we climb mountains in switchbacks, right? So that's just kind of how I put it there.
And now you mentioned when you pitched Fourth Wing, it was one of 5 pitches for the fantasy series. And so can we expect more fantasy stories from you outside of the Imperial series possibly in the future?
I would say probably yes. I'm just trying to survive this one first.
I think we all are too.
Trust me, there are times I stand back on my clockboard and I'm like, so many people are going to judge where this next decision is. But yeah, I love fantasy. It's my first love. The very first book I ever wrote, that when my husband was deployed, it was urban fantasy. It just didn't sell. And it happens in publishing all the time. So fantasy is my first love. So yes.
Woo! I have one more question that I want to ask, and then I would like to open it up to you all. There will be a microphone in the middle of the room, so you can line up and ask your question. And the last question that I want to ask is, as I kind of mentioned, Fourth Wing has gotten so huge. It is so loved. And you made an announcement not too long ago that we are getting an adaptation.
Guys are, I
know. This is a whole whirlwind for you that you don't, oh my gosh, you write this in your room and it's now going on tour, as you mentioned, you're seeing the result.
Yeah.
So how was it for you learning that there would be an adaptation?
It's wild. I mean, we knew when we were in edits for Fourth Wing, they'd sent out my first draft, which I didn't know until I was in the meeting. And you're like, that's not what happens. And they're like, okay, great. Now I'd like to perish completely in mortification. So it took off so fast at that point. We knew that it was going to have a television series, and we couldn't say anything. We were going to announce it last year at Seattle Comic-Con, so since I was here, I couldn't give out our support wing last year. Like, oh my gosh, I'm shocking other people. So trust me, it's all a lot. And then we were going to announce the television series on release date, and the writers wanted to strike. So naturally, we're going to support the writers' strike, and we're going to keep our mouth shut. So we like hold and wait, and all these people were asking me these questions online that I can't answer because it has an adaptation. So I'm just over there like, I'm gonna be quiet and being quiet and being very, very quiet. But it's surreal, and I will say that I'm really glad that it ended up with Amazon and Outlier Society, which is Michael B. Jordan's production team, and they are incredible. They're very protective of the source material. They're absolutely wonderful. They're in constant contact, and I can't say enough great things about them. And they have a great diversity and inclusion writer, so I know that they'll honor the diversity in the cast. I'm not going to say whitewashed.
Hello, what is your name and what is your question?
Oh my gosh! Hi guys.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm sure you hear this a lot. First of all, from everybody in the Chronicles community, especially with EDS, thanks for giving us a character. Like, we all love fantasy. But my character is, my question is, you mentioned that you have a kid with EDS, and you have four, and Violet faces a lot of people that kind of like backhandedly protect her, tell her she can't do something, and like I was wondering, like, do you do that because you see that happen with your kids all the time?
So we've only been diagnosed for about 4.5 years, I want to say. It was kind of mind-blowing. Like, I should have known no 18-year-old should have to have her shoulder constructed right, and yeah, no one really put that together for me. It happens to my kids, but it was more watching my kids choose to still play hockey. So like, they stopped playing soccer and the things that were dislocating their thumbs and all that kind of stuff, and they stopped running, but they continue to play hockey. So, and as my kids like watching me from the back of the room right now. So, and it's a very padded sport, right? And he's had his arm broken on the ice, like just standing there, and someone checked him after a call and snapped his arm in two. I see people protect, how do I say this without, okay. I get to see people trying to protect me without letting me set my own limitations or me asking for my own accommodations, and it makes me kind of cranky. And so there's a direct reason that Dane is the way he is, okay? And Dane's not a bad guy. Gosh, save me. So he is definitely a representative of that community that will not allow us to grow or will not allow us to set our own boundaries, as opposed to we're quite capable of telling you what we need. So, yes. There's a reason that, not to get political, I'm staunchly anti-war. I've sent my husband to war too many times. I've sat on his lap and pressed the infection out of his neck. We have buried our friends. We just had one of our really, really great friends hit with a drone strike in Baghdad, in Iraq on Christmas Day. So it is something that is constantly in our lives. When a helicopter goes down, our first thought is who's on it. When someone's killed in war, is it our friend? And I think one of the points I like to make in Fourth Wing is all they do is burn their things and then they say their name once and move on. And it is so unhealthy. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're horrible. Yes, that's the point. The point is that it's a horrible way to deal with death, and it's about to catch up with Violet because she's pushed aside everything with Liam, and then she's just watched her mother sacrifice everything and it catches up. But it's mostly just the accumulation of burying all of our friends.
Thank you.
My name's Sarah, and I actually want to take this moment to say thank you. I'm a librarian, and because of your work, I've watched so many people return to reading and love reading.
Thank you.
They have now been given permission to like romance, like fantasy. The rise of romantasy has just been accepted now, and I just want to say, like, my husband is one of those. He would have never picked up something like this, and I was like, I like this.
Way to go, husband.
People see this on TikTok, and they're just like, everybody's talking about this. I'm like, because we all think it. So I really want to thank you for driving people back to books and increasing this perception of romance and fantasy.
Thanks. I don't know if I can take I would
Not
lay that.
you. I know there's been a lot.
Oh, I would lay that credit to Thursday Not to see either Jennifer Arnstrout, but
however, there's an appeal to Fourth Wing that I
It's the dragons.
It is.
Like, it's really just...
We'll all admit that.
Even the men are like dragons.
Yep.
We'll tolerate the sex as long as it's dragons.
Exactly. Literally just had a tea coffee that the other day.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you for being a librarian. We need you guys.
Thank you. My name is Ariella. I just want to say thank you so much. I have friends all over the world that we've created a fifth wing little community.
How fun is that?
So we've all created our own dragons and stuff. But my question is specifically about signets, and I was wondering if the Violet being seen thing was either just like a hallucination type thing or a possible allusion to a signet person.
Man, you guys are getting good. How's that poker face? Get better? I would never answer that. But I would never answer that. I would, however, remind everyone that in that scene, she has been put on that serum that disconnects her from magic. It's in the
Hi, Kimberly Wright, and I met you yesterday, and I'm asking my question on behalf of my really silly book club, Dinner with Stickers.
Oh, yes.
And so we were wondering, what makes the dragons care about these puny humans? The dragons have this big, vast world, and there's something special. What is there that is
Opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. The dragons only care about the humans, other than a one-on-one basis, like the bonds between, Taryn and Violet and, Ciel and Zayden. They only really care about the humans because they can wield signets. So without them, they don't have the wards that can protect their hatching ground because they don't have runes. So that's it. They're basically just the pets of the dragons to accomplish the safety of the dragons. Because as the vet and drain, they're taking the very magic that the Terran would pull from the earth. Does that make sense? They're just as much danger. So it's more of like a whale that tolerates, someone feeding off him. Do you know what I mean? Like they just have opposable thumbs. That's it.
Thank you so much. While we're on the topic of signets, real quick, Rebecca, I am curious if you had a signet, what do you think it would be?
Let's see if that's easy. I would be able to cross hundreds of miles in a single step. Because I have kids from New York to LA to one who now wants to go to UW. So I would love nothing more than for my kid to say I need you and to be able to cross those miles and immediately get there. Yeah. And fine, UW is fine. It's fine.
Hi, my name is Lydia, and I just want to say thank you for coming. I'm really excited. It's like Disney World all over again. It really is. But my question is, in your romance books, you actually write from both points of view.
Yeah.
I never read romance before you, so I've now officially read all your books.
Oh, thank you.
You're great.
Oh my gosh.
But you write from both points of view. You write from the male and the female, and sometimes even the friends. So I was wondering, at the end of Fourth Wing Command, the end of Iron Flame, and a couple of the bonus chapters, it's from Zayden's point of view. So can we expect maybe more of Zayden's point of view in the next 3 books?
I would guess you'll see more along the same lines of what you have, like bonus scenes and some end chapters and things like that. But again, because this world is so vast and I need you to experience it from Violet's POV, you open it up to his, and it's too much to condense into a book. The books would be like this big. And as much as So I would say probably along those same lines. And the reason I wrote Zayden's POV at the end of Fourth Wing wasn't going to be there in the first place. I put it in because when I wrote that last chapter, she woke up and just kept asking him questions and demanded answers, and he gave them to her. And then my editor was like, "What are you doing with this info dummy last chapter?" I was like, "I don't know." Because I've never written a series before. I've only ever written interconnected standalones. So I flipped it into Zayden's POV so that he could answer those questions. You would know he wasn't a complete and total jerk. And it would naturally allow Violet to be thinking whatever she's thinking. Because otherwise she's like, "What's going on here? Where is this? What's going on? What is this? What is that?" And he's like, "Okay, I'll tell you."
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan, I'm short.
It's okay, me too.
Fellow hypermobility ADHD girly, thank you so much for everything you're doing in this space. I heard you mention that you also have ADHD, which is really cool, and we know obviously there's like so much comorbidity between hypermobility and ADHD. Have you ever thought about Violet potentially being neurodivergent? Is that something that has ever come up for you in your writing?
You know, it's so funny. I got asked this question in Dubai like 4 weeks ago, and yes, I know how weird that just sounded. It's been a crazy year. So I would guess that because I'm neurodivergent and the only neurotypical person in my house is my husband. Yeah, let's see how that goes for him. I would guess that she is in many ways simply because I write her. So simply, we all bleed into our characters no matter what we do. There's little bits and pieces of us. So I would guess that a lot of my characters have that neurodivergency, just because I do. And I'm sure it leads in.
Thank you.
My name is Hannah. I would be so mad at myself if I didn't start off by saying I'm an actor with EDS, so let me know if you need a Violet. Just saying. As somebody with EDS that was diagnosed really late in life, I went through a lot of being told that I was clumsy and that I was dramatic and that I just was a klutz and was just always hurting myself. And I'm wondering if, like, in the process of trying to promote this book or sell this book, you ran into any situations of people being like, people aren't going to connect to this book because it's not real, that you're dramatic, like you just get injured sometimes. I'm wondering, like, if you had to deal with that.
So, I mean, on a personal level, yes. On a personal level, I wasn't diagnosed again until I got my oldest son's x-rays from his spine and the curvature of his spine, and my youngest son's Holler index that told us his sternum was compressing his heart. And all I could think was, like, we are not the unluckiest family in the world, are we? So that happened at the same time my vestibular migraines started happening, and I was experiencing such bad POTS flares that I couldn't walk across the room, and I thought I was dying. And I know everyone might think that, you know, you're being dramatic, but I remember looking at my husband and saying, you have to do an autopsy. You have to find out what's happening to me. And we went through lumbar punctures and, you know, and MRIs and CAT scans and everything you have to do. What struck me about Fourth Wing, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble because I stick my foot in my mouth a lot, people who have chronic illness saw it within the first few chapters. They saw it for what it was and they recognized it for what it was. And people who didn't thought she was weak, she shouldn't survive, she shouldn't have been able to conquer what she did, she should have been killed, things like that. And I couldn't help but sit back and just shake my head in irony because it mirrors real life. And people with chronic illness, we see each other and we make accommodations and we understand, and sometimes we don't get that same acceptance or that same welcome from able-bodied people. And so I just kind of shook my head like, you guys don't get it and you're going to. Sorry. That was, but yes, that is.
Hi, my name is Michaela. I was just wondering, since texts are so important in this book, whether it's the archives or the codex or the book of folklore.
Yeah, I thought you meant phones for a second. I was like,
sorry.
Wrong book.
Yeah. I was just curious how those fit into your process. Do you write any of them or pieces of them, or do they come to you as you go? If you write pieces of them, would we ever see them?
So typically, that's a lot of questions. So typically they come to me as I write them. I try to think of what needs to be put in here. They're also my most valuable real estate in the book. So sometimes I'll say insert epigraph as I'm drafting, and then go back and insert either what's going to hint at what's coming in that chapter or what I need you to go back and find. But they are my most valuable real estate, just like sneak little things in there. So if you're not reading them, you should. But yeah, I don't ever write the full-out text, but I keep a very precise document of exactly what is in every epigraph in every book and who's written it, and it's all color-coded and drives my publisher, I'm sure, bonkers.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I have a very shallow and specific question.
Sweet.
How much American Ninja Warrior have you watched? Because the gauntlet.
Oh, the gauntlet? I think maybe like an episode or two. I get like secondhand embarrassment. Does that make sense? Like I get really bad, like I can't watch The Office. My kids like to walk watch me watch The Office and they make me an episode a day. It's like, I don't know, therapy of some kind. But I watch that and I'm like, I can't. But yes, I can say something.
You gotta watch Jessie Graff at least.
Okay.
She's good. You won't feel nervous. She's good.
She's gonna rock it? Okay, all right.
Logan Thompson. Just wanted to say, throw some respect your husband's way.
Thanks.
I was deployed back in 2019.
Yeah.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours.
I got a little nervous, excuse me.
Don't be.
Is there any correlation, by chance, between less and less dragons bonding riders and the appearance of a venom who is still bonded to a dragon? Is there any correlation with the fact that
there is a correlation, which is strongly in forthcoming, a correlation between less and less dragons bonding and more dragons saying what we're doing is wrong.
And I want to thank you because I don't read. It wasn't a hobby of mine until very recently, and so yeah, now I cancel plans to stay on the weekends. So thank you for that. But yeah, my question is, we get mentions of Violet's father research, but we don't know even his name or more about him. So I wanted to ask if in your future works and appearance series, we're gonna explore more of that.
So that's one of those things that's late into book 1 that doesn't pop up until, I don't know, like maybe book 3. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
My name is Lillian. I just wanted to say thank you. Your books are such an inspiration for so many people. I'm a budding writer myself, and I've been working on my own romantic novel for a very long time. And I'm trying to kind of actually do the thing. So my question is, when it comes to editing and publishing, when you first get into that, is there any advice that you have for budding writers into how to kind of get your foot in the door, or just kind of things that you should do that might help you down the line?
Pick an agent that you can swear with. I'm serious. I've had 2 agents and I've had some offers, of course, but I've stuck with my agent since 2015. And the second I knew I could use the F word with her, I was done, because she can see every side of me, good or bad, and still be good, we're gonna roll, and she protects me. So she knows how to go to my publisher and say, this deadline isn't doable. This is bad for her body. There's a reason the Iron Flame tour was only a couple weeks long. Her body can't sustain this, and this. So to me, it's about who you choose as your agent after you get your book written. I think that any time you use before your book is written is it's almost wasting time. Get it written so that when that moment comes, you're writing, that book is done. But to me, it's about your agent. And I think if querytracker.net is still a thing, I'm hoping it is. I'm probably showing my age. Is it? It's not? Oh, okay. All right, so I go viral for giving misinformation. But querytracker.net usually will tell you what genres an agent reps and all of their guidelines and things like that. Thank you so much.
Hi there. My name is Caitlin. I actually came and saw you last year at a group panel here at Comic-Con.
Where can you give away the arcs?
I got one of your arcs, you signed it for me. It was awesome. So I just wanted to say, first of all, congrats, because the room is completely full at this point. Big difference from last year. My question is, on a more personal level, other than reading, what do you do for fun? And now with the big change in how things have gone between last year and this year, do you guys have any family traditions that you've kept up to kind of keep in touch with your kids and your husband?
Oh gosh. Okay. So.
Sorry, big question.
I know it's a big question. So yes, everything is drastically. When I leave my house, everything's drastically different. When I'm at home in my kitchen and I am, snarking at that one back there who hasn't done his homework, or trying to get the kids to a game, I think everything is very much the same. So I'm trying really, really, really hard to keep it the same as possible for my kids. Does that make sense? So because at the end of the day, all of this could go away in an instant, and I'm still their mother, and I'm still at their hockey games, and I'm still going on vacation with them. But traditions, we're just a hockey family, so it's more like, could you get in the car and get your gear and get that done? We still, of course, do the holidays at our house and things like that, but it's been a wild adjustment for all of them. I've had kids, one of my kids in college has taken his last name off his Instagram. I think my kid in the back has taken his last name off, that kind of thing. There's an article written about my husband. It was really weird and all wrong, which you would find normally. And it like linked to my kid's Instagram, right? And so my son was like, "Mom, there's a bunch of women." I was like, "Stop it." he's 19, okay, he's 19. But I think those have been the biggest adjustments, and things like I'm not on TikTok anymore, and I sometimes go on Instagram, but I stopped looking at it as a dopamine hit because again, ADHD, right? And I'm like, Highland cow, Highland cow, Highland cow. I stopped looking at it like that and started looking at more of like it's like being a giant room full of mirrors, and no one should look at themselves that much. So that's I think the big change. Did I answer?
Yes.
Did I get it?
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Congrats again.
Thanks. Yes, you are. Mrs. Madam President. I was like, yeah. Sorry.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Vanessa.
Hi, Dr.
Dr. Vanessa.
I met you at one of our assignments. Yes.
You just made my tagline. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to contextualize this. It's a lot that's in my brain.
Okay.
I think, first of all, thank you. I think something about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame that really stuck out to me as someone who works in diversity and inclusion is the very explicit and implicit conversations about power. I think when, spoiler alert, we learned that everything Violet knows is a lie about the bar, about everything, like the last line of Fourth Wing, like welcome to the revolution, I threw my book. Because I was like, yes, fist in the air. Did you know, or have you been able to, because for me, this story is something I can use to talk to people about inclusion, power, what that means, how that affects us, how that affects our world, how that affects our truth.
Yeah.
Did you, I'm going to say, you did this intentionally? Have you been able to sit with that and really understand the importance and power of that, particularly not only for people who have disabilities, but other people, like as a person of color, someone who is marginalized, being able to really lean into this story? I don't even know what the question is.
Don't worry. Okay.
I'm just so thankful.
I'm going to give you the background for that. My degree's in history. That's what my college degree's in. And I got really, really pissed. Sorry, I'm saying pissed a lot, I'm sorry. I got really, really pissed at kind of revising our history that was coming into our textbooks, and how everything that was about our revisionist history and the inability to sit with our mistakes or being uncomfortable. And especially because I'm raising a biracial daughter, and I have to be able to look at her and say, you know, this isn't okay, and things like that. So yeah, I did that intentionally. I was really mad. So one of my favorite lines in Fourth Wing is, it takes one desperate generation to erase history. And it does. Oh, can we help with Mike?
Hi. Hi. My name's Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
I have CP, so it's really inspirational. But really inspirational. So, thank you. And you have checked my Instagram before, so nice to see you. So I was considering to ask a question about Zayden's mom. Are we gonna see like the backstory of that come up in the later books?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been asking for.
Yeah, that's on the board.
And I want to thank you for doing this whole series. It has like 5 minutes that I am in library club at my school,
And these books have really brought in so many more people, which gives our library, my high school library, so much more money. And I just want to like thank you for that, because the amount of books that get checked out is like how our budget works.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So thank you. And you just said that your major is in history.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you were like writing a history book about like all of the archives and like all the texts and stuff. Like, I'm like such a
Navarian history book?
Yes, because I feel like
would you guys trust it to be truthful? I wouldn't.
If Justinia wrote it.
Like, there's a history book that authors have done, like, in terms of writing, like, over a Bible and
It's a fun idea. But have I ever considered it? I haven't, only because I'm still, like, I'm so into this series that when people are like, what about this, what about this? I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to survive. Like, I know there are some authors that have it together, and I am not one of them, okay? Like, there's times my husband's like, hey, do you ready to leave for this game? And I'm like, what game? And I'm like, oh, we have to leave him somewhere. But if I were to write a Navarian history book, it would be written from it would probably be written by someone Tirish. I would never trust a scribe to write it, that it's too deep to even suggest it. But it's a fun idea, and I'm so glad your library's getting more books checked out. I didn't know that's how libraries got their funding.
You kind of started talking about this right when I got up to ask the question. I was wondering, has it been difficult to balance being a mom, because I've got 2 boys, and you're about 10 years ahead of me with your kids' age and your age, and so, like, just balancing what you need to do, getting what you have, like, your work stuff done, but mom, like, how do you do that?
God, don't you wish men had the same problem? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to answer this how I wish more men would, right? I'm going to deal with my husband, and the deal is he would do 20 years in the military, and after he did 20 years, I would get to quote-unquote drive the train. That's what he said. So he did 22 years, and then much to, some public outcry, because I used to be a blogger, he got out. I said, it's time, or I can love you from here, and you can PCS elsewhere, but I got to stabilize the kids. My husband stays home. My husband is the one who runs my house. So the only reason I can be here, that I could write, I wrote 4 or 5 books in like an 18-month time span. Like I wrote like 800,000 words or something insane. I could only do that because my husband stays home and does the domestic labor that normally a stay-at-home mom would do. He runs our family. So I don't balance, and I think my favorite quote from Shonda Rhimes is, where you see me succeeding at one, I am failing at the other. So while I'm here with you guys and I'm taking my lovely 16-year-old on a college tour, I am missing my youngest son's state tournament for hockey. So where I am succeeding at one, I am failing at the other, and I think the key comes not with balance, but with grace, to understand what we're doing with the better than
Look at your hair. Thanks, amazing. Hi, I'm Nina. Hi. So first of all, thank you for your representation of queer people. Like actually, non-binary and lesbian and bisexual and pan and all the things. It means a lot to me. But theater's my thing. I'm walking this spring with my BFA in musical theater. And so the line that I reread over and over and over again was when they decided to rebuild the theater of all things, and so I wanted to hear your perspective on that.
I'm a huge fan of art. Does that make sense? And it says something about the society in Orisha that the first thing they chose to rebuild was the theater, as where Navarre has spent its entire time conscripting and making a war society and just rows and rows of gravestones. It just shows the difference between the societies, and it shows you the power of a single sentence in literature to describe a society. So a society that prioritizes art, prioritizes expression, prioritizes its people, prioritizes, I would say, advancements that the military can't give us, and that is whatever's going on in there. Like, they are rocking it. They are rocking it. And of course, I did my best to make the world as inclusive as possible. I'm always learning, so I'm sure there will always be more inclusivity as we go, but I just wanted it to look like the world around us naturally.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering, referring back to the question about how has your life changed and such, how can we as readers support you besides just buying your books?
Gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, really. I was prepped for that. Honestly, I know. I don't think I've been asked that. You guys do a great job already. I get tons of messages that I can't read through or get through. I see all the follows on socials and things like that. There's really nothing like, honestly, you guys are awesome. And you do great. I would prefer no if people stop stalking my airline information when I'm with my children. That would be, if we could spread that word, that would be nice. It's okay. It's mostly resellers. It's not usually readers. Readers are usually way more respectful. Resellers, I've had stock on my baggage claim, stock me coming out of the United Lounge. I was getting off an airline with my kid in Seattle, and I'm like, not with my kids. But you guys are awesome. There's nothing more you could do. Just keep reading and keep reading other books. Start looking for marginalized authors. Start looking for other romanticities. Just keep expanding what you're reading, because I can't write a book a day. And some of you can read a book a day. Okay? So start spreading that love. I think it's the best.
Hi, my name's Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
Hi, thank you for being here. I had a question about dragon bonds. It seems to be, I guess my understanding is a dragon knows that's going to be his last rider immediately, and that's like the decision, like this will be my last rider, end of story. Is there any way that that could change, like as, I know most riders will die young, they do not, it's very clear they do not live their lifespan. If they were, would a bond grow to a point where that would become his last rider, even if it originally wasn't? Or if they didn't die young, like that snap of the bond out of nowhere from the battle, could a dragon then survive because the bond would become weaker as they grew to old age and it didn't become a snap? Is that something that...
I think it depends on the dragon. Think of it as like a, I don't know, like human marriage that takes you to a whole different genre. But like some bonds are stronger, right? So they all know that, Naelin's death almost killed Taryn. You know what I mean? So you know that he bonds deep, but Taryn has made that decision that Violet's his last, that he never wanted to do this again. And honestly, like, think about it, poor Taryn is like this curmudgeon of a guy who is stuck in like the 21-year-old drama. Right? Like, he is the sorority house mother who is just like, stop crying in the bathroom. Like, he's a hat right. So I would think that bond depends completely on the dragon and how they choose. So could Sigale choose for Xaden to be her last or to go when Xaden goes? Yes, Taryn's already made that choice. Would Indarna? So I'd say Indarna. Does that make sense? So it's all up to the dragons. So.
Thank you.
My name's Patrick. I'm kind of a strange person to be here.
No, welcome.
Yeah, because I looked at the schedule and I saw your name. I'd never heard of you, never read books.
Excellent. That's awesome. We love to hear it.
And I'm halfway through the first, and I've been covering my ears as you've covered lots of
Sorry.
That's fine. But I'm also married to a reading teacher, and so I've watched youth read books a lot. And I've read a lot of books I otherwise wouldn't have read because of that experience. And as I'm reading yours, I'm noticing obviously parallels between the Divergent series and the Hunger Games. My question for you is, why is the concept of putting youth in danger and picking them off so engaging?
Okay. So I get that comparison a lot, and I would say it's only comparison because you have youth in danger. So Divergent is you have to choose your faction and who you are immediately, and then if you don't make it, you're kicked out. I have a college with 4 majors. Like, if you don't make it in the Scribes Project, you can leave and go to infantry. Like, the only one that doesn't do that is the writers. I know you're asking about the youth in danger. I would not let my children read the Hunger Games until we could have an intelligent discussion as to why government kills children in order to keep control. Okay? So, you haven't read Iron Flame yet, have you? Okay. Everyone in here who's read Iron Flame, you guys know when they're climbing the pass and they have the discussion about how Griffin flyers are chosen? Right, so the virus, they're not the good guys. Like, it's not normal. And one reason I think that people do read books like The Maze Runner, like The Hunger Games, where you have youth in danger, is because it's a high stakes situation that keeps turning the page. There's something about that we keep turning the page for to see they live. But yeah, but it's not okay. I'm not saying it's okay, I'm saying it's not okay. That's the whole point.
And thank you for your service.
Oh no.
There's 2 playing now.
Dude, no man, he did the push-ups.
I just wanted to chime in since we have about 8 minutes left, and I would love to try and see if we can get through the rest of these questions. Cheers.
My name's Whitney. As an author, I was wondering if you have any favorite books that you like to pull inspiration from, or favorite authors, like how they write things, if there's anything that you're like, yes, I want to be like that.
Oh gosh, I'm always impressed with the fact that Jennifer Armentrout can make it turn the page. I don't know, but I swear, and I love Jen, she's great, we've been friends for years, but dude, that woman just, no matter what it is, she can make it turn the page. I'm always astounded by Octavia Butler. Kindred, I think, is a huge, monumental, like, sci-fi experience, right, in time travel. I grew up reading Mercedes Lackey, so you'll see a lot of inspiration from Valdemar written into Fourth Wing. Of course, Anne McCaffrey. Like, how do you write a dragon without going back to Anne McCaffrey and giving the solid nod? And yes, I know Tolkien, but really, you know, Anne McCaffrey and those, and Christopher Paolini, of course. What I don't read fantasy while I'm writing fantasy. So I try not to for that exact reason, because I never want to read a book and be like, oh, and then it bleeds into mine. So I read a lot of nonfiction or a lot of contemporary romance while I'm writing fantasy.
Thank you.
My name's Michelle. I have like a 2-part question.
Yeah.
First of all, do you read fan theories? And if so, do you have any that are like, I love that theory?
God, no. No. I love you guys, but I stay away from anything. I stay away from anything that shows me, talks about me. There's so much misinformation out there. I think there was like a website that was talking about like my birthday is wrong, like everything. Do you know what I mean? So like, I stay away from anything that talks about me. I don't read articles about me. I don't watch videos about me. I don't listen to podcasts about me. Which means if I see something's about to talk about me and I'm watching reels again for Highland cows, I skip straight to it. The only fan theory I came across was before Fourth Wing hit like really, really big, so I was still like somewhat like, whoa, this is weird, and I hadn't been like, oh my god, this is scary. Was something saying that Satan had loved Violet because he'd known Brennan, right? So he'd loved her since whatever, and I was like, dude, that'd be him loving a 14-year-old girl, and we're not down with that. Like, we're not here for that. So that's it. But no, I stay the hell away from fan theories. I love you guys all. Enjoy, but no.
That was it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, Megan.
I'm terrifyingly talking in person.
I know, right?
I feel like I'm on the parapet or something. So there's more people. I was just wondering if what the hardest part has been in writing your books and what your favorite part has been.
My favorite part is always, it's twofold. It's either a scene that I know is coming, like the scene where Dane looks at Violet and says, if you had just told me the truth from the get-go, we wouldn't be here. And the first time you read it, you think he's about to kill her. But if she had just told him the truth, really what he's saying is, if you had just told me what was happening last year, then you wouldn't have died. I wouldn't have trusted my father over you. So those moments, I still get goosebumps when I think about it, because they're so visceral in my head, and when I finally get to put them on the page, and the moment I type the end, are the best. The worst is when I stick my foot in my mouth, or when I go viral for anything. I can't, like, they put me on Good Morning America, I don't remember the interview. I would never, because again, I stay away from myself. My husband made me watch it because the Hamilton cast, I guess they came and said hi. But all I remember on that interview was sitting down and they said, what's it like to go viral on TikTok? And I was like, terrifying! And I remember none of the rest of it. So the worst part is seeing myself everywhere, and now I am terrified. I'm terrified. Terrified to speak, terrified to not speak. I'm terrified to write the next book, I'm terrified to not write the next book. I'm terrified to make a decision in dialogue, I'm terrified to not make that decision because I know that everybody's watching. So it is, I am so happy when I'm at home. Like, really happy. Like, so happy. Yeah, so it's bad, but it's more good, I promise. You guys are come out here like, she's miserable. Like, no, I'm really lucky and I'm really happy. It's just a really terrifying time in my life.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
My name's Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. Ask how you came up with these different type of creatures. So you got the dragons, the venom.
Yeah. So I love dragons. Who doesn't love dragons? And I was doing a whole research etymology because, of course, we use more modern vernacular in fourth wing to make it more accessible because I wanted to write an accessible fantasy, right? But I also wanted to make sure we had a kind of time frame-ish setting that wasn't just jacking with life. So etymology. And I went through medieval weaponry, and I was like, these dragons are gonna have webbed tails. And I was so sure that my editor was gonna be like, no, they're not. Because I thought she was gonna think that was just ludicrous. So I wrote them in and just kind of hoped they got allowed in. And then I said yes. And she said yes, and we get to keep, Morningstar Tales and Sword Tales. For the venom, I really wanted to discuss and have an open discussion with a reader, which I kind of think is what a book is. A book is an open discussion from me to you guys. Like, hey, I'd like you to think about this. I'd like you to take note of this, about power and what we are willing to sacrifice for power. So you have a society where the dragons choose who gets the power, but some of the people want more of that power. So what are you willing to pay for it? It's your soul. And that's what the venom have done. They've sacrificed their soul because they were not selected by writers. So it's really just a discussion about power and what it costs.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I see so many cool fourth wing cosplayers out there. If you're cosplaying fourth wing, please, we would love to see it. Yes! Oh my gosh, this is amazing. You all look phenomenal. Oh, I love it so much. Rebecca, thank you so much for being here and having this conversation.